welcome. For some reason, I don't have my thing set up that it starts up my intro automatically. I'm not sure why. So let me go ahead and upload my intro. And then we will get started in about a minute or so because I need to put on my blue nose for tonight's episode. So if you are, an OG of this live stream, you know what that means. And if you're not sure, it's might be because you haven't seen an episode. Oh gosh. Oh my goodness. Did the intro actually run and I didn't even know it? Sorry guys, hold on a second. Let me check my settings because that was a little bit weird. Hold on. I can't tell. I cannot tell if the intro video happened or not, or if it just got piped in. I have no idea. Hold on. I'm gonna look. I'm just checking our tube of view and our book of face. Okay. All right, everything looks okay. I'm really not sure. Anyway, I guess we're not doing an intro video this time around. It didn't load automatically, so I'm not quite sure what's going on, but I have both of them here. So hold on, let me take off one and put this in here. And I don't know, maybe next time around it'll work, but either way, oh well. I guess I'll have to put on my nose and yeah, I'll be right back. All right, not enough time to put on my nose, so I'm just gonna put it on right now as I'm doing my introductions. How about that? Because we're already like 4 minutes into the episode and I haven't said a damn thing. So welcome, welcome, welcome to another episode of Tarot by Hilary Live. I am your hostess with the mostest, Hilary of tarotbyhilary.com, professional tarot reader and EFT tapping practitioner here to demystify the mystical and put you in touch with the most beautiful gifts, your intuition, because yes, my friends, do not argue with me. You have intuition. And on tonight's episode, I am putting on my blue nose because tonight's episode is the annual retelling of one of my favorite stories from when I was growing up. How big should I go here? Let's get right in there. Let's have some. Now it looks like I have like blue boogers, but so this is an annual holiday, Halloweeny retelling of one of my favorite books that I read every Halloween season, The Blue-Nosed Witch by Margaret Embry. I love this book. It's actually almost before my time, but I guess, I don't know. I have a feeling I probably might have inherited it from my older sister. But so this Bantam edition came out in June of 1983, this edition. But before that, this book is copyright like 1956. So it's a very old story, 1950-ish story of a witch named Blanche with a blue nose. So that, and I read it every year. So you guys are like, I don't know, hopefully used to it by now. If you've been a regular viewer of this live stream, you kind of know what to expect around Halloween season, which is definitely a reading of this story. So I have put on my blue nose. If you're wondering what blue I'm using, it is the color Evidence from the Smoked Urban Decay palette right here. So I'm gonna go wash my finger so that I don't get this blue all over the place. And I'm also going to get some lip balm as well. So see, like I can't navigate my settings with a blue finger. So I will be right back, and we will do the cornerstones of our episodes, which is the astro-weather at the top of the episode from Teresa Reed's wonderful AstroBiz Digest. We will also do the weekend forecast at the end of the episode. There is no mid-episode reading tonight on this edition of the live stream because we are just reading a story from front cover to back cover. It is about about 47 pages in length, but it's a sweet and simple story, and I love it, and I love doing the story time with you guys. So let me go wash off my hand, get a little lip balm. If you're tuning in for the first time, please let me know that you're tuning in and where you're tuning in from. I always love to see it, love to hear it. And I will be right back. Let's see. Which one is this one? I'm gonna, yeah, I found it. Probably need to come up with a longer be right back video because it's usually too short, but there you have it. So it is there. Hold on. I can take this away. All right. Yeah, be right back. All right. Thank you all for being so patient as I went and did that. And also I grabbed some lip balm. Pretty easy to wash off, actually. I'm pleasantly surprised. All right. So let me double check my settings one more time. Okay, cool. And because we're doing the reading of the Blue Nose Witch, I'm going to put up our starry background. All right. Good to go. Good to go. All right. So before we get into the reading of the Blue-Nosed Witch, let us get into the astro-weather from Teresa Reed from her wonderful Astro Biz Digest, astrology in layman's terms, straight to your email inbox. It is geared towards entrepreneurs and business owners, but I have found it to be incredibly helpful in planning my personal life as well. And if you're wondering where you can get this fabulous thing, it is at Teresa Reed's website, theterrylady.com/Astro Biz Digest. I've gone ahead and put that into the chat box for those of you who are viewing wherever you're tuning in from, either on the Book or Face or the Tube of You. You should be seeing that either way. And I've just displayed it on the lower third here. If you want to get a copy of your own, $99 for a year-long subscription. Very, very worth it in my opinion. So what we do here on the live stream is I usually give you the overall transits as per the Astro Biz Digest, and then I give you the nitty-gritty details for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So let me go ahead and pull that up for you guys. And again, apologies to everyone that usually tunes in at 6:30 and I started at 6:45. I hit traffic coming home from my retail job. So, shit happens and you got to roll with it, right? At least I'm here. Better to be here than not at all, right? All right. Whew. Okay. And nothing seems to want to work right now. Forget it. Forget it. I'll just pull it up on my phone. And if my phone starts to crap out, I'm going to be like, what the heck? Is Mercury in Gatorade? I don't think it is. But this is getting ridiculous. All right. So, astrology. One giant cosmic happening this week, the sun's entry into Scorpio on the 22nd, which happened a couple of days ago. Scorpio season is all about strategy. Use these 4 weeks to map out the rest of 2024 and 2025 while you're at it. Organize your top secret projects, holiday sales, and content. You'll be ready to slay what's left of this year. This transit is also super duper for research, budgeting, and business intuition. Boss up by managing your finances, reviewing profit and loss statements, analyzing the market, and trusting your gut. The sun enters Sagittarius on November 21st. So you have the time. You have the time between October 22nd to November 21st to utilize all that Scorpio season has to offer. Okay? Okay. So now let's get into the nitty gritty for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So Friday morning is clear. Use this day for online marketing, live streams, or presentations. I had my retail shift this morning. So take a break when the moon squares Mercury at 12:41 p.m. Eastern Time. The news cycle will be loud then, drowning out any sales possibilities. Inspiring leadership is needed when the moon trines Chiron at 5:22 p.m. and sextiles Jupiter at 5:42 p.m. This is your nudge to lead with your heart through your words or your actions. Set a great example of benevolent leadership. It is needed now. Today, Friday, October 25th, is a power day for Leo and a weekday for Aquarius. Now, let's get into Saturday and Sunday. So Saturday morning begins with a void moon, which means it's best to take it easy. Do not rush into new things. Instead, tie up loose ends or reset. Once the moon enters Virgo at 11:47 a.m., productivity rises. You've got 2 great days to tackle your to-do list. Handle the details, declutter your office, or finish whatever you've been putting off. The moon-sun sextile at 7:54 p.m. is fantastic for PR. Pitch the media or amp up your social media. Actually, that's awesome because I will be doing readings at a Halloween party at that time. So, yay. Sunday is best for working on your task list and avoiding the public. The moon makes angry angles with Venus and Saturn in the late morning and the afternoon. With the election looming in a few days, it's best to keep it light and stay offline. People are going to be super cranky and critical, so why bother? Both days are power days for Virgo and weekdays for Pisces. So whoever's tuning in right now, if you want to tell me, is there a particular thing you wanted to know about for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday? You wanted the astrological reason why? Let me know in the chat. If we don't have any questions in about a minute, we are going to get started with the annual rereading of The Blue-Nosed Witch. Woo, woo, woo. And I should probably plug in my phone before we do this because my phone needs to charge. So might as well put it on charge while I am reading the story, right? So I will be right back. Put your questions about astrological reason why for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. And I will take a peek-see at the AstroBiz Digest for you. And if not, we will dive right into the story of Blanche and her blue nose. Okay, doesn't look like there's any questions about the astrology, so I'm gonna take a nice big sip of water, floof my hair a little bit. Let's get witchy with it. Wish I had a witch hat, like a nice pointy hat that would have like really brought the look together, but I don't. I'm still looking for my witchy hat that would be really, really cute. But I still have been practicing witch since I was 16 years old. And I'm in my 40s now, and I still haven't found the perfect witch hat yet to commit to. So I feel like that's more of a personal problem. That's a me problem than a you guys problem, but you know. All right. Look at my nose. We got it. We're ready. Okay. The Blue-Nosed Witch by Margaret Embry. Pictures by Carl Rose. And then I put up a little crawler for this. Let me add the item. Okay. Yeah, that's what a lower third is for. In case anyone is stopping by and tuning in and wondering what the heck is going on over here in this neck of the internet, now you know. It's the annual reading of the Blue Nose Witch. Okay, let's get started. So, Blanche follows her nose into some frightful fun. And also, my favorite part about this book is it is a flip book as well. So, you've got that blue ink blot, like almost like neon ink blot here. And hold on. Let's do it one more time. So I kind of like it. I don't know. I'm biased though. So it's my live stream. Like I could reread anything during Halloween, but I read this, and it's my live stream, and that's the reason why I read this, because I read this to myself every Halloween anyway. So why not read it with you guys? For Mary, who originally owned Rocket. Not more than 4 or 5 Halloweens ago, there was a very young witch named Blanche who owned a broom, a black kitten named Rocket, and a bright blue nose. She belonged to a very special scurry of witches, scurry number 13, known in the best witch circles all over the country for its beautiful flight formation. The Grand Madame, who had been leader of the club for as long as any of them could remember, flew center front. She used a vacuum cleaner instead of a broom, and when she gunned her motor, it sounded as exciting as a fire siren. On the far right was Minnie Max, waving her blood-red fingernails in the dark. They really did shine like rubies. And on the far left was Blanche's best friend Josephine, who had long, yellow, fluorescent teeth that gleamed like stars. So here's Blanche. In between and a little behind flew the 9 rather ordinary witches who were only expected to follow the Grand Madame's lead and cackle with hard glee at appropriate times. And at last came Blanche, usually far, far behind. If it hadn't been for her marvelous blue nose that she could turn on and off at will, she wouldn't have been allowed in scurry number 13 at all. Blanche was always late. She had good intentions and a dependable alarm clock, but somehow she never could get started any place on time. Something always happened at the last minute to delay her. Rocket, the black kitten, would run away, or Blanche would have misplaced her broom, or she would have to finish her comic, or have just one more piece of bread and peanut butter and honey. You see, said Minnie Max to Josephine, Blanche is still just a baby, and she ought to be sent back to scurry number 2.5. Then she'd have to ride a whisk broom and not go any higher than the tops of the poplar trees and never stay out after midnight with the rest of the grown-ups. If she's late one more time, I'm going to report her to the Grand Madame. I know Blanche is young and scatterbrained, agreed Josephine, but don't bother the Grand Madame with it. I'll take care of her. I promise she'll be on time for our next flight meeting. That's Halloween night, Minnie Max warned. Sharp at midnight, we're taking off from Dead Man's Bluff. Afterwards, if we make a good showing against the moon, there'll be dancing and chanting and a pot of brew. You better see that Blanche is at least a half an hour early. I'll have her there on time, promised Josephine, even if I have to set her alarm an hour ahead. There's the two witches gossiping about Blanche. Gossiping witches. Katie is here. Hello, Katie. I'm here as usual for this awesome story. Gonna watch it on the tube of you. All right, cool. I will see you there. As it turned out, Josephine switched the clock ahead, not 1 hour, but 2, just for good measure. That probably would have been all right. Blanche herself, as she was getting ready for bed at noon the day of Halloween, had the same good idea. She wound her clock and set it an extra hour and a half, and then just a little more in case Brockett would be hard to find. So here's Josephine winding back the clock. But when the alarm shrieked that evening, Brockett, for once, was perched demurely on the bedpost right where she belonged, fur newly licked smooth. Blanche yawned and brushed the straw out of her hair and rolled out of the bed without her usual dilly-dallying. She washed her face and hands and polished up her blue nose. Her broom was standing neatly behind the kitchen door. Brockett hopped on eagerly without having to be coaxed. The clock said 12:15 midnight. Actually, of course, it was scarcely 8:30 when they padlocked the front door and poked the key under the mat. "It's not very dark out," said Blanche to the kitten as they soared over town. "We're probably much, much too early. Wonder if anyone is there yet." Blanche looked down below and saw a strange procession marching along the sidewalk. She dived lower for a better view. There was quite a tall witch in the lead. "Why, that looks like Josephine. But whatever is she doing with that crowd? And walking? Maybe her broom broke down." There were 3 ghosts, a pirate, a cowboy carrying a 6-shooter and a lighted pumpkin, and a gypsy with spangled earrings. Blanche settled down on the sidewalk and fell in step behind the tall witch. At once she saw it wasn't Josephine. "Oh, excuse me," said Blanche. "I thought you were somebody I know." The tall witch turned and stared. She had a rubbery look to her face, and her hair was stringy and obviously false. Josephine was always so careful about her hair. So here's Blanche looking over the procession, and here is the procession of the gypsy, the cowboy, the 3 ghosts, the pirate, and the witch. "Hey," shouted one of the ghosts. "Where did you get that blue light on your nose? That's really neat." The little pirate, pulling at Blanche's skirts, pleaded, "Let me see it. Let me see it." "How does it work?" asked the cowboy, setting down his pumpkin. So Blanche showed them. She made her nose glow bright and then fade palely away, then bright again and wink off and on like a turn signal. "Gee," said the cowboy, "that's swell. I didn't see anything like that over at the dime store. Where did you buy it?" "Let me try it. Let me try it," begged the pirate, pulling again. "I didn't buy it," Blanche said primly, "and I can't take it off and let you try it. But I'll do it again for you if you'll quit yanking my dress." "Leave her alone, Butch," said the tall witch, giving the pirate a shove. Turning to Blanche, she explained, "He's my little brother. I told Mother he was too young to go out Halloweening with us, but he always has to tag along." "Oh, that's all right," Blanche said generously. "I don't mind letting him see if he wants to." She leaned down so Butch could feel her nose carefully. "Hey, if you show us how the switch works, I'll give you one of my jelly donuts," the biggest ghost offered, holding out a brown paper bag. Blanche grinned at them. "There really isn't a switch at all," she said. "It just works by concentration. I think about lighting up my nose and it begins to glow. When I want it to shine very bright, I think hard, like this." She wrinkled her forehead and squinted her eyes. The nose glowed a bright, clear blue. See? Simply concentration. The ghost opened his bag. That's really super, he said. Here, have a donut. Blanche reached in eagerly. She hadn't had a jelly donut in weeks and weeks. Where did you get these? They're wonderful, she said, chewing happily. Oh, over at Smith's. They have the best stuff. Last year it was caramel apples. Come along and we'll show you which house. Blanche trailed along willingly, with Butch the pirate holding firmly to her hand. What's your name? He asked as they walked along. I'm Blanche, she said. Blanche who? Butch's sister, the tall witch, asked. Just Blanche. She's Blanche Witch, that's who, Butch said reasonably. The cowboy turned around mischievously. Which witch? And all the ghosts joined in with great glee. Blanche Witch, that's Witch. They climbed the steps to Smith's front porch, all chanting the refrain, Blanche Witch, that's Witch. The gypsy rang the doorbell. A man with white hair opened the door. He gaped. But candy or cake or your windows will break, they yelled at him. But you kids have all been here before, he protested. Yes, but she hasn't, they laughed, pushing Blanche in front of Mr. Smith. Her nose turns on and off, said the pirate. Show him. Blanche showed him obligingly. Say, that's really something, said the man. Come here, mother, and see this. See, I told you it was from the 50s. A lady sitting in a rocking chair got up and came over to the door. She gave a little gasp when she saw Blanche's nose. Whatever will they think of next? These modern kids. Sure, that's worth 2 donuts at least, said Mr. Smith. Hold out your sack. She hasn't got one, said the pirate, who had noticed right away. Mrs. Smith bustled right off to her kitchen and returned with a brown paper bag. There now, she said, and here are 3 jelly donuts, and I put in some nuts and candy corn too, because you might not have time to go to many more houses. Thank you, ma'am, said Blanche, remembering her manners. And please, could you tell me what time it is? Her husband pulled out his pocket watch. Let's see, it's just 6.5 minutes after 9 o'clock. Just after 9 o'clock? Blanche asked, bewildered. But I thought it was nearly midnight. The time seems to be all turned around. It usually is on Halloween, laughed Mr. Smith. Anything can happen tonight. Well, good night, kids, and don't soap any windows. We won't, they shouted, racing down the steps. Good night, and thanks. They stopped at the corner and looked at each other a little uncertainly, trying to decide just what to do next. Oh, cried Blanche in a panic. I've lost my broom and my cat. The tall witch stared at her. Broom? You didn't have any broom with you. She did too, the pirate said, with a little black kitty sitting on the sweet part. I'll bet you she left it back on Maple Street where we stopped to look at her nose, said the gypsy. Let's all walk back and help her find her stuff. The gypsy was right. The broom was exactly where Blanche had left it, leaning against a tree. Brocket was perched up in the branches, spitting at a yellow dog who was circling around below. Brocket refused to come down until the cowboy shooed the dog away. Then she jumped lightly down onto her mistress's shoulder. There they are, looking for the broom and Brocket. And there's Brocket and the broom. Blanche shifted the kitten to a more comfortable position and looked around happily. Well, what do we do now? There's plenty of time. I can only go to one more place, said the short ghost, so let's hurry. Yes, we promised Mom we'd have him back by 9:15, said the biggest ghost. No, it was 9:30, said the middle-sized ghost. As long as we're out this far, the gypsy suggested, why don't we circle back by way of Old Man Skinner's house? He has apples. The others stared at the gypsy in alarm. He's mean, the pirate explained to Blanche. He sure is, the cowboy nodded in agreement and set down his pumpkin. Old man Skinner said we stole his apples, and we didn't. The wind blew them down, but he wouldn't believe us. That was way last year, said the gypsy. He's maybe changed his mind by now, and everybody says he's got the best apples in town. I'd sure like one now. Let's go. Betty hasn't changed, said the big ghost, holding back the other two ghosts. He hit my dog with a rock last summer just because we were cutting across the back of his lot on our way down to the creek. Yeah, old man Skinner's got a slingshot, and he's a good shot with it, too, said the middle-sized ghost. I've seen him hit birds with it way up on telephone wires. He said they were eating his cherries. Oh, that was last spring, said the gypsy airily. Let's just go out and call on him. So there's old man Skinner in a slingshot. There's the poor bird getting hit or about to get hit. Maybe he's lonely, said Blanche. She was thinking of those apples. We can say, trick or treat very politely, and maybe he'll treat for once. The cowboy picked up his pumpkin. I'm game, Blanche, he said. I'll go with you, but I can tell you right now, he doesn't like kids, especially on Halloween. But he's never seen Blanche, the tall witch said. Maybe if he saw her wonderful nose. Yes, said the gypsy. Let's go out there and show him Blanche's keen blue nose. Then maybe he'll give us some apples. He's got some special good ones this year. I saw them on the trees. Oh, yeah. Just realized the dog in that picture looks like your dog in the logo. Yeah. So look up here, my logo with the dog. And so that's the fool's dog in the tarot deck, barking up the tree. Same placement, too. Same side. Well, can we do a side-by-side here? I never noticed that either, Katie. That's actually kind of funny. All right. They formed another procession. Blanche was in the lead in this bunch. She carried her broom over her shoulder with Brockett sitting in place on the end. The road was long and twisty. Blanche was limping a little before they got there. Her feet hurt because she wasn't used to walking so far, but she didn't let on. There was a light behind the curtains of Mr. Skinner's house and smoke coming out of his chimney. They climbed onto the porch, giggling nervously. Miss Gypsy gave a brave 1, 2, 3 knock. No answer. He must be home, whispered the tall witch. He has a fire in his fireplace. They waited. Then all of them pounded noisily. At once the door opened a crack, and a thin, long nose hanging over a tight little mustache poked out at them. The cowboy raised his pumpkin, even though the candle was burned out by now. Trick or treat? He asked hopefully. At this, the door opened wider. 2 suspicious eyes glared. Halloweening, is it? You young pests, go home where you belong. I've no time for your nonsense. There's this house, the lights all on. Please, sir, said Blanche sweetly, maybe have some apples? Apples, snorted the man. He scowled at Blanche a moment, then said, want some apples? Heh? You wait right here. As soon as he disappeared, the gypsy and the tall witch nodded, as if to say, didn't we tell you? But the pirate said, maybe he didn't go to get apples. Maybe he went for a slingshot. Shut up, Butch, his sister whispered. He's gone down to the cellar for apples. The gypsy shook her earrings and straightened her scarf. She wasn't so sure now. I want to go home, said the smallest ghost in a trembling voice. Yes, said the biggest ghost, shakily too. We promised Mom we would be home with him by 9:15. At that moment, Mr. Skinner returned, holding a small cardboard box filled with some smallish apples. Thanks, gee, thanks, everybody said, surprised as he handled the apples around. The apples looked red and good in the light from the door. Everybody at about the same time bit into them. "Ha!" they all said, spitting out. The apples were mushy and brown inside and tasted terrible. "You came here yapping for apples, didn't you?" yapped Mr. Skinner. "And I gave you apples, didn't I? What's the matter? Aren't they good enough for you? They were good enough last year when you came around and tried to steal them and broke all my tree limbs." "No, we didn't, honest, Mr. Skinner," pleaded the biggest ghost. "And who stole all my green corn and frightened my hens so they wouldn't lay? And then you come around here begging for my good apples. Well, they're all picked and sold, so you can just go home or I'll—" "Flash your nose at him," whispered the pirate, tugging at Blanche's skirts. "Scare him." Blanche winked her nose on and off venomously, but he just snorted at her and slammed the door. "Why, he wasn't even impressed," said the gypsy in fury. "It's a perfectly frightening nose, too." "Let's soap his windows," said the middle-sized ghost. "Anybody got any soap?" "Too bad none of the kids carry it anymore," sighed the tall witch. "It'd be good to have some in case of an emergency like this." "I know," Blanche whispered. "Brocket, you do something. Up on that windowsill with you, and give him the you-know-what." The black cat's eyes got yellower. Softly, she leaped up to the windowsill, then stretched up onto her hind legs and scratched with her front claws up and down the screen. It sounded worse than gravel being grated on a sidewalk and squeaky chalk on the blackboard. On top of this, she let out a caterwauling yowl that tore through the night, frightful enough to make people jump out of their shoes. The door flew open and out rushed Mr. Skinner, madder than an old hornet. He had a slingshot, and he meant business. Everybody turned at once and fled. He took after them down the road, but he was too angry to aim well. The stones from his slingshot spattered at their feet, but nobody was hit. On her broom, meanwhile, Blanche spiraled around his house and up to the chimney. Smoke was curling out of it. "He's got a mighty cozy fire down there," she said to herself, "but he won't have it for long." She landed on the steep ridge of the roof and then climbed cautiously down to the big brick chimney. Leaning her broom against it, she boosted herself up so she could blow down into it. Putting out a hearth fire was a trick that Minnie Max had only taught her a week or so before, and this was Blanche's first chance to try it for herself. She took a big breath of air and blew down the chimney as hard as she could, thinking just the right words as she did this and giving each blow just the right swirl. With the third blow down, the smoke slunk back. She raised her head and took another deep gulp of fresh air and blew again. She blew again and again until her ears buzzed and her nose turned green. Down below, the smoke came out of the opened door in a great cloud. Mr. Skinner, thinking for sure his house was on fire, stopped chasing his visitors and ran back toward the porch. Blanche straddled her broom and gave a spring up into the air. Down she swooped over his head, buzzing him and laughing, but he was running too fast to see her. She caught up with the rest of the crowd on the corner of Maple Street, where they had gathered around Brocket. The gypsy was trembling so much her earrings were jingling like sleigh bells. The short ghost had torn his sheet, and the eye holes in his pillowcase were switched way around to the back of his head, so he couldn't see which way he was going. "Golly," breathed the cowboy as Blanche dismounted from her broom. "That sure beats walking." "Does it have a switch either?" the tallest ghost asked. Blanche smiled. "No, it doesn't need a switch." "Not even an engine?" asked the middle ghost. Blanche thought a minute. "Well, I guess there's a sort of one." "What kind of fuel do you use?" the tallest ghost asked again. "Well," Blanche hesitated again. The cowboy said, "It doesn't need fuel, dope. It works by concentration, like her nose." "Yes, I guess that's it," said Blanche. "I think how high I need to fly, and that's all there is to it." "Let me try it," the pirate begged. "I can concentrate." "No, you don't," said his sister. "You'll fall off and break your arm just like you did on the tire swing." "It only works for me," said Blanche. "I've got to go home," said the smallest ghost in a muffled tone, trying to pull his pillowcase straight. "So have we," the tall witch said, grabbing her at her little brother. "So long, Blanche." "Here, I want to give her these first," said the pirate, wriggling out of her grasp. He dropped 3 sticky black jelly beans into Blanche's sack. When she tried to thank him, he shouted back, "Oh, that's all right. I only like the orange kind." Blanche and Brockett soared over the town again. The streets were nearly deserted and most of the houses were dark. "I can't understand why people always want to go to bed so early, just when things are beginning to get interesting," Blanche said to Brockett. "If somebody were only still awake, we could ring some more doorbells." A little further on, she looked down and saw a lighted house with several cars parked along the street in front of it. "Look, maybe it's a party, and they might have some extra candy and nuts." So there's Blanche soaring up above the town. Here's the town below. She landed expertly on the front lawn, and almost before she could ring the bell, the door was opened wide. "Hello," said a man. "Come on in." "Oh, I thought you were the Jennings. They're late, and everyone else is here." "Oh my," said a lady looking over his shoulder. "It's just a little girl. And look at that cute costume. Out by yourself Halloweening, dear?" Blanche nodded and winked her nose at them. "Trick or treat?" she asked properly. "Hey, everybody, come here," said the man excitedly. "Look at this. She's got a neon nose." A dozen people got up out of their chairs and came over to crowd around the door. "What a darling little kitty," said one lady, leaning down to pick up Rocket. "Be careful, ma'am," said Blanche. "She doesn't like humans very much." "Listen to that," giggled the lady. "She said humans, just like she was a real little witch. Isn't she precious?" "Aren't you out pretty late by yourself?" asked another lady, looking at her watch. "What will your mother say?" "It's almost midnight." Then Blanche remembered the flight meeting. It would be leaving sharp at midnight from Dead Man's Bluff. "Excuse me, everybody," she cried out. "I've got to go right now. I'm going to be late again." But they made her wait while they filled her brown paper bag with chocolate mints, salted nuts, pumpkin seeds, and pretzels. Then they made her wink her nose on and off for them just one more time. "Don't fall off your broom, little witch," said one lady fondly as Blanche ran down the front steps. Afterwards, the lady peeped out of the window over the door and gave a scream. "I'm positively sure I saw that little girl hop on her broom and fly away." The other people at the party roared with laughter and wouldn't believe she wasn't joking. Aloft in the late night air, Blanche wasn't laughing. She was worried. It looked as though, after all of her trouble in trying to get started on time, she was going to be late anyhow. Here's her zooming to the flight meeting. As she came to Dead Man's Bluff for a landing, she could see all of the witches in the scurry lined up in flight formation. Minnie Max was pulling out her watch to show Josephine and saying triumphantly, "You see, I told you she'd be late again." Blanche settled down meekly at the end of the formation. At least they hadn't taken off yet. Scurry number 13 made a beautiful showing against the moon that Halloween night. And afterwards, they danced and sang and had refreshments up on Dead Man's Bluff. Josephine laid it out the bird. Blanche passed around the nuts, candy, pretzels, and the 3 jelly donuts carefully cut into quarters. "Mighty good donuts," said the Grand Madame, looking around for more. "Where did you say you got them, Blanche?" Out trick-or-treating, said Blanche. That's what made me late tonight. But you meet the most interesting people that way. If you ladies think you can find time for it next Halloween, I'll take you along too. And there they are partying on Dead Man's Bluff. Best part. The end. The end. So thank you all for watching and reading along with me, my yearly tradition, and I guess your yearly tradition. We do have replays of every time I've read it. I think I might read it differently every time. I don't know. So I love it. Can you find it for yourself? I have no idea. Probably not. So there you go. So to end the episode, we have, as usual, the weekend forecast, because we're not doing the mid-episode reading this week because, you know, spooky story time. So let me grab an oracle deck. I think we're going to go with Work Your Light this time around. I think I might have said this last week. I'm not sure if we went for Starseed or Work Your Light, but let's go with this one this time around. Aw, I love doing it, Katie. It's like one of my favorite episodes to do. Because I'm just like, oh, I'm reading Pluto Switch. I like literally went out into the living room and with my blue on my nose. And I'm just like, look, honey. And so Mr. Tarot by Hilary is just like, like he puts up with a lot. So all right, I'm looking at the deep card for the weekend forecast, and I think that might be our card. But if it comes up again, like it's definitely our card, and I'm going to just accept it as it is. If not, we'll go with it. So we'll go with whatever comes up. So what do we need to know for this weekend? Other than the astrology that I gave you guys at the top of the episode. Shuffling thoroughly, thinking about that. All right, so I think we're going to do two cards. The card that I just pulled, which is Fill Up Your Well, which I feel like we've received this card so many times that it's like it's a joke at this point. So I'm going to find where the other card was. The deep card was Priestess. So I'm going to read that one for you guys too, because now it's just, here it is. But it was the deep card before I started shuffling, and I was just like, I feel like that's a message for us too. So Fill Up Your Well and Priestess. So Fill Up Your Well is retreat, rest, and refuel. I feel like we get that card a lot. And then Priestess is how are you being called to step up and lead? So let's go to the guidebook for both of these. Again, this is the Work Your Light Oracle deck by Rebecca Campbell with artwork by Danielle Noel. One of our mainstay Oracle decks that we use on this live stream. The other one is the Starseed by the same author and illustrator. So Fill Up Your Well more than likely is an action card. Yeah. So fill up your well. The most selfless thing that you can do right now is fill up your own inner well. When we were running around half filled, we subconsciously looked to things and people around us to give us the nourishment and nurturing that we so deeply crave. Nothing can grow in barren lands. You are no good to anyone if you're running on empty. The feminine is bountiful, fertile, and rich. Tend to your own well and watch as the amount you have to give multiplies. Like, it's kind of like my version of like eye on your own paper, but also like in a more self-care modality too. If your inner well isn't full, you will find yourself craving things from the outside world to fill it. This is our body's instinctive way of reaching for the grounding and nurturing that we are not allowing ourselves. What nourishes you, refuels your body, nectar for your soul, what brings you back to life? What is your secret medicine? It may be gardening, arranging flowers, getting a massage, using essential oils, snuggling on the couch, hiking, sipping a good cup of coffee, attending a women's circle, walking on the beach. What nourishes you is your medicine. When you give yourself your medicine that you need to be nourished, you nourish all of those around you, for there is more than enough to go around. So do something to fill up your well today. That's card number 1. Card number 2 is Priestess. How are you being called to step up and to lead? So, the Priestess is a teacher dedicated to service, freedom, and leadership. You don't need to have it all together to lead. In fact, it helps you if you don't. No one wants a perfect angel who hasn't made any mistakes. Oh, maybe this is more for me than for you guys, but I'll keep reading. If it resonates with you, then it's for you. Let your life be your message. Don't underestimate the power of sharing your story. On Spooky Storytime. It's by hearing someone else's journey that we feel less alone. We realize that we're actually all in this thing called life together. The difference between a follower and a leader is that a leader has the courage to go first. In stepping out, they shine light on the path for others to venture forward to. Don't fret too much about trying to work out who is in your tribe. Don't get stuck in age, income, hobbies, or occupation. The best way to discover your tribe is to look in the mirror. If you feel called to lead, chances are it's because at some point in your life, you longed for someone to lead you. Your tribe are longing for exactly the same thing as you were and are, and may only be one step behind you. Hell, they may even be right alongside you. You don't need anybody's permission, just the courage to stand up. Embrace your struggles, the peaks, the troughs. You don't need to know the way. Just believe that there might be a different one. Your tribe is waiting for you. Step forward so they can find you. How are you being called to step up and lead? And how can you be the leader you wish you had? Okay, cool. It is resonating just for another subject. Cool. So those are your oracle cards for your weekend forecast this weekend. Thank you guys so much for watching. It is my great pleasure to do this live stream every week at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Fridays. When I'm on time and I don't hit traffic. So I hope you join me next time for a different topic. And if you have suggestions for upcoming episodes, please feel free to send them my way. And we do have replays available for all of the live streams over the past 5 years. Geez. Excellent question, Katie. Your blue nose looks great. By the way, did you decide which nail polish you were going to wear? I think for tomorrow night's Halloween party, I'm going to go with that reddish brown, which is really like kind of a blood red, sparkly, etc. But like I do my own nails myself, so I can change them out really quickly. But that's what I'm probably going to go with. But like that is my nail color collection. So it's always fun for me to like give you guys behind the scenes. And it's just like, here's my nail colors. Maybe I'll go into my perfume cabinet and show you all the perfumes that I have. But it's just like, I find it interesting that people find that interesting. So I'll try and provide as much as that as possible. So, all right, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you would like to book a reading with me, you can do so at tarotbyhilary.com. I do tarot readings and tapping sessions, and sometimes a combination of the two. So once again, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next week, Friday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Once again, I am Hilary, professional tarot reader and EFT tapping practitioner, here to demystify the mystical and put you in touch with the most beautiful of gifts, your own intuition. Because yes, my friends, do not argue with me. You have intuition. See ya on Friday next week. And where's my overlay? None, please. Thank you. Bye.